Haojiang Tian, a prominent bass singer and one of the first world-class opera singers to emerge from China. He has sung all over the world in more than 50 different operatic roles across over 1,400 performances. Tian has appeared at the Metropolitan Opera in New York with 26 operas spanning over 20 years. He has performed with such operatic luminaries as Luciano Pavarotti and Placido Domingo, while working with renowned conductors such as Loring Maazel and Zubin Mehta. He has performed around the world in many operas such as Turandot, Aida, The First Emperor and Faust, as well as modern Chinese operas like The Bone Setter's Daughter and The Poet Li Bai. Tian is also the founder and artistic director of the I Sing International Festival, an initiative introducing Chinese as a lyrical language to young opera singers.
伟大而崇高，
伟大而崇高。
In early 2017, Tian came to Beijing to perform in a Chinese opera called Mark Jianzhen Sailing East, and also in his celebrated portrayal of Timur in Turandot, both at the National Center for the Performing Arts. We caught up with Tian in Beijing to discuss his life and his career. Welcome. Welcome to ICON.
My honor.
And I should say, welcome back home. This is your hometown, right? You were born here.
Of course. I came back about 3 weeks ago and for 2 operas.
2 operas?
Yes, both, here at NCPA.
At the NCPA?
Yes. Well, the first one was a new one. It's about a Chinese monk, Jiang, and back to 1200 years ago, he went to Japan from China for the mission to spreading Buddhism. And you can see me, I shaved my head.
That's why you shaved your head?
I had a beard before.
Right.
And, so we premiered in Japan. And February 6th, we premiered at the NCPA.
In China? In
China, in Beijing. So it's very meaningful because in Beijing, my hometown, and at the NCPA, and this role, actually, Jiang monk, is very touching role in this opera.
This is a Chinese story?
Yes.
In Chinese cast?
Yes.
So are we getting more of these productions, like Chinese stories produced by Chinese team these days in opera?
In past 10-some years, at least over 100 Chinese contemporary
new productions
being performed, premiered. And at NCPA alone, I think at least over 10 new, contemporary, Chinese contemporary operas based on Chinese stories premiered here alone at NCPA.
So the other production, Turandot, that was not a new one. You performed, I guess, numerous times on different stages around the world.
At least over 300 performances.
300 performances.
With 15 different opera houses.
How does it feel for you, to be performing that again? Maybe this time it was for a home audience.
I came back actually 9 years ago, for this new production, Turandot, produced by NCPA. And that was the first opera, the first night singing on stage at NCPA.
Back here at the NCPA?
Yes, because I just finished the same opera, different production in New York with the Met. And so I didn't expect the level of the first production, opera production of NCPA was very high already. And we had an international cast and grand production. Young chorus, young orchestra, young dancers. The first night I won't forget, because I really felt I was very lucky, can sing with this new opera house. So I was very, very emotional that night.
Io soffro
You were born actually into a family of musicians. When did you truly find your own personal interest in music?
Okay, you know, my father was a conductor, my mother is a composer. So I was born in a musical family. When I was helping my parents to pack, and I found one record behind the speaker inside of the gramophone, you know, the record player. And that piece was a Beethoven 6th Symphony. My father conducted it in 1964, so he saved the only record. And when I found the record, I asked my father, I said, I found this, you know,
Record.
She said, play it. So the music started, and my father and me started to explain the music. This is the theme, this is the main melody, now it's a second movement, now it's a developed, now it's a storm coming, you can hear the sound from the drum and something. I was shocked by his face, because that face was the first time in my life to see is so tender, full of love.
So that's when you found out the power of music.
Power
that could
of music.
Really change
Absolutely.
the personality of a person.
Absolutely.
You were working as a worker in a factory. So did you at the time still have in your mind say, yes, I want to be a musician, a singer?
Not really, because at that time you couldn't really choose, you know, what you really want to do, and you couldn't imagine what the future of your life, you know, will be. You can't. And we were happy to go to the factory, because at that time getting a job in the factory in the suburb of Beijing, it's already much better than sending to the frontier and the countryside, you know, far away from home. And so I was very happy. I was not a good worker, okay, because I was wild. Try to find any possibility to lie to the work and to go to the mountains, to stay for 2-3 days camping on the mountain, singing with the guitar.
But did you sing at the time?
Not like a classical singer, like a love songs, like a pop songs.
You even played guitar at the time?
Yes. I was quite known in Beijing. And many times somebody knocked on the door and said, you don't know me, and I have never met you. I just you know, come in and sit there to listen to your singing.
Wow.
Many.
So you even had your own private concert at the time, right?
Many times. Almost every night.
But somehow you got yourself into the Central, what was it called at the time?
Central Conservatory.
Central Conservatory. Obviously you were not happy with being a known guy in a factory. You wanted to be a little step further.
Because I worked in the factory 6.5 years, okay. At that time, I was tired of my life. I wanted to leave the factory. So in 1975, Central Conservatory was the first year open to nationwide, to open to young singers. Okay, the first class, you know, the competition was
fierce.
Oh my goodness. The whole nation, only 17 singers, young singers, will be selected.
17 from the whole country?
From the whole country. And in Beijing, there was only one
spot. Wow.
One opening, and I made it.
What helped you make it at the time? And then what happened? What do you think are the main reasons for you to reach that success?
Maybe the timbre, the color of my voice is kind of warm and bright. This is one thing. And probably I was pretty musical. Because I play instruments. And I had no fear. So when I was standing there, I just sing. I just, you know, to give you all. You know, I love music, and I want to leave the factory.
That's it. You didn't want to spend another day in the factory. You want to change your life.
Absolutely, totally.
You're not a easily satisfied guy, because you spend a few years in the Central Conservatory and you decided to leave again, this time for America.
I have been, you know, paying attention from the books, from the movies, from the paintings, from the music. like Beatles, like Carpenters, and like John Denver, all those music started to come to China. So we were really, influenced a lot by the pop music. Even though I was a classical singer, bel canto singer, but I love that kind of music. Beautiful and moving, simple,
Touching, personal.
touching. So I want to go to the place where those music come from.
Yeah.
The song is called Jambalaya. Goodbye, Joe. Me got to go, me oh my oh. Me got to go, pull the piero down the bio. My one, the sweetest one, me oh my oh. Son of a gun will have big fun on the bio. Jambalaya, crawfish pie, filet gumbo. For tonight I'm gone to see Mom shares a meal. A baked guitar, feel for the jar, me oh my oh. Son of a gun will have big fun on the bio. Jambalaya, crawfish pie, filet gumbo. For tonight I'm gone to see Mama shares a meal. Big guitar, feel for the jar, me oh my oh. Son of a gun will have big fun on the bio.
，When I stepped out from the airport in New York, I only had $35 in my pocket. And next day, I went to the Met to see the first opera in my life. And there was an Italian opera, Verdi, and Ernani, and Sambai starring Pavarotti. I knew nothing about Luciano at that time because in China still I couldn't find all those tapes, records, and to own, of their singing. And I knew nothing about opera.
So it just so happened you went there to the Met, and that was Pavarotti's.
Yeah, you know why? Because of his face. In China, at the Central Philharmonic the library, one day I walked in, I saw a photo of a Pavarotti smiling and with a beautiful scarf and in front of me. And I loved that smile so much. So I saw the poster at the Met. I said, this is the same guy. It
looks familiar, right?
Yeah. Smile. So I said, I want to go to see. I spent $8, bought a standing pass. And I was really blown away, by Metropolitan Opera because it's the best opera house in the world. And Pavarotti was standing there, opening his mouth. I look around and said, wow, what kind of a singing is this? I couldn't expect what would happen in my life because I didn't have money. I only knew 4 English words. And how could I imagine what would happen to me? I have to survive first.
So what did you do to survive?
Working. I went to University of Denver and I registered as a graduate student. I started a school there. Of course, I started with the language center first, right, to study English. And the same day, I started working in the student union, the cafe, to wash dishes.
Yes.
To wash dishes.
Yes.
But for me, I was pretty happy because I was independent, because the world is new. Everything is attractive. And, I was, even though I couldn't speak English, but I felt in school, the teachers, the students were very nice to me. And
so you haven't started
I started only vocal lesson. And my teacher only could use 5, 6, 7 words to help me. Up, forward, 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 but up. No good. Anyway, and so I spent 3 years in the school, and God knows how I got diploma of a master degree. I mean,
You know, after spending a few years studying as a student, you know, being trained as a professional singer, then I guess at the time you realize how important the stage on the Met was at the time. So,
not yet.
not yet, still not yet.
Not yet. Actually, I was falling in love with Martha. I met Martha, in Shanghai, and because she's a scientist, a human genetic researcher, and went to Shanghai to help Fudan University for the genetic research. And my father got ill and got cancer, so I was in Shanghai to accompany him. And I saw this, scientist from America, and American Chinese. I married Martha. One of the important reasons is she has absolutely first class, most beautiful smile. I went to Denver to study, and she was an associate professor at a medical school there.
I see.
So we became very close friends. And what really happened is we were in love in 1987, and at that time I just graduated from school. I only had a couple of $100 in my bank. There was any contract waiting for me outside of the door of the school. Immediately I started to work in the restaurant again. I mean, in the beginning it was as a busboy to serve the table, and later Martha found me a job to play piano in a Chinese restaurant, as a background music. That was the best job. I mean, 4 years, the first 4 years in America I had. So I thought, what can I do? And we were in love, and she's a scientist. I was nothing. And I told myself, you better work hard. You better make it as a professional singer. I mean, otherwise, how can you, to become a husband to support the family? Is no way. I told myself, I mean, in 2 years, you better work 500 times harder than any other singers. Try to make it to become a professional singer, can support the family. And also I told myself, if you couldn't make it by December 31st, midnight, when you hear the gong, you stop singing. Try to do something else, no matter, what.
This is sense of responsibility?
Responsibility, yes. For love.
For love and hard work. And hard work.
So what really happened was I had many auditions, but one of the auditions was very important because that audition brought me to the Metropolitan Opera. I should say the greatest opera house in the world.
Rapita lei la vergina corona. Oh, che dissi, deliro. Oh, mi perdona.
That was 1991, March 18th. Okay, and I was in Denver, and at home, I got a big envelope from my agent. And this envelope, inside there is a contract from the Met. It's for the whole season, whole year, 30, 40 weeks or something. Okay, paid vacation and health insurance, lots of money. And I even couldn't figure out, because each single performance how much, each cover how much, rehearsal how much. I added, I've never seen this big number in my life.
Life-changing.
Life-changing, and I called Martha. She was at the lab, working with her project, and I said, Martha, can you come home? And she said, I can't, I'm so busy here. And I said, you have to come home. I said, why? She asked why. I said, I think we should get married today.
So that was the same day you got married and then you got the contract from
That's the 10 minutes after I opened the package, I called her. And she was was a silence for probably 10 seconds. And she said, okay, I'll be home in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So we went to the city hall, we
Yeah.
became husband and wife that day.
This week you have to be very good, and the next week you have to be excellent.
So that's the I Sing Festival.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about this project? I Sing.
Okay, I Sing, now it's called I Sing Suzhou International Young Artists Festival. So we started 7 years ago in Beijing, actually. First was called I Sing Beijing. And we started with 20 singers from different countries. And we had a small group of Chinese singers to study together, to rehearsal together, to sing together, and to give concerts together for 1 month.
Just to get them to get together and to know each other.
To study together. For example, the foreign singers will study at least 2-3 hours Chinese class, how to speak, how to read a little bit, and the Chinese singers will study English. And every year we would have an international team, I mean experts, conductor, director, vocal teacher, opera coaches from different opera houses to work with those young singers. Our program is not a commercial program. It's a full scholarship program. We have to begging for financial support because it's a full scholarship. If you couldn't pass our audition, you don't pay a cent.
It's all free.
We moved to Suzhou 4 years ago, and it's been really grabbed lots of attention internationally. Many conservatories and opera houses, directors, conductors, been contacting us and wanting to work with us, want to come to China. And so since then, in 6 years in China and in America and in France, we had at least over 30 concerts. Every single one was sold out. Just to give you one example, last year we had 42 singers, and we had 2 wonderful concerts, touching concerts. I didn't sing, just young singers. When you see these Western singers, opera singers singing in Chinese, and the famous
They were there singing Chinese sounds?
Yes, absolutely.
In Chinese?
In Chinese. And those famous Chinese art songs and from, arias from contemporary operas, that would make you cry. And you just see Chinese singers with them. The first day, they couldn't talk to each other at all, right? They couldn't understand each other at all. But at the end of the month, they really became close friends, became, buddies, become, singing ensembles together on stage, shoulder to shoulder. It's just wonderful. I've been singing at the Met for 20 years, okay. When you sing at the Met, then other opera houses will come to you. Like you have your agent, so we'll book you in Europe, in South America, and, Asia, opera houses to sing.
But if you look back, I mean, you have become a singer, a regular singer at the Met, and looking back at those years, have you ever thought, or sometimes maybe one night you would think, hey, how did this happen?
Singing on opera stage, you cannot only have a voice. Even though you have a big voice, you have beautiful color and the size is big, you have to be able to act. You have to be able to understand your character from inside of your heart. I have seen so many young singers from China, from America, from Europe, and many singers, they have beautiful voices, no feelings. I think what will make a true artist, you have to have the feeling of the music, of the character, of the history, of every single your movement. You have to be able to see your character on stage. No matter you'll be on stage only 5 minutes or hour and a half. You have to. I tell you, all the opera directors, many of them, maybe 90% of them, they really enjoyed working with me, even from the first day. Because directors, they could feel I could go into that character, inside that character. So that's for this many years. I've been singing over 30 years already. This became an ability. As soon as I step on stage, myself, is gone.
It's the character.
Character. No matter you are, this is a good character, this is a comic character, or this is a Chinese character, this is a Western, doesn't matter. You have to be in that character.
So to be a successful opera singer is never just about having a good voice. It's all about understanding the character, and looking to the details, paying attention to the details, and to fill the life.
Absolutely.
For your career. Now, thank you for telling us your stories. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for
You have
sharing
a story too. Next time I want to hear your story.
Not as fascinating as yours.
Oh, everybody has a story. Everybody has a story.